Everybody has known for months who the first pick was going to be. An absolute stone-cold lock. I mean, to the point where nobody even talks about Trevor Lawrence anymore because we know if you were doing a create a player in Madden, you would pretty much create this guy. You'd want a guy who's tall, fast, has got a cannon for an arm, a guy who makes a lot of winning plays, a guy who wins a lot, a guy who has always won on every single level. A guy who has been in the spotlight for years. He's been the man in his draft class since high school. And all this guy's done is live up to the hype at every single point. You know, that transition from college to the NFL as a quarterback and the first pick in the draft is supposed to be one of the hardest things. Now you're the face of a franchise. Now you have to carry an entire organization on your back. Now from the second you wake up every single morning, every single eye is on you. Everything you do, everything you say, everything you touch. It's one of the toughest gigs in the world. Except this guy has gotten plenty of reps for it. He's been doing it already. It might actually be one of the easier parts of the transition for Lawrence. Now, just because the guy is a slam dunk as the first pick in the draft and has exceeded the hype time and time again does not make him a slam dunk all-pro the moment he gets in the league. But again, if you were looking just to create or build a player, this is the player that you would create. And for as long as Trevor Lawrence has been the number one player in his class, going back to high school, the guy who's always been 1A has been Justin Fields. It's always been Lawrence and Fields, except something along the way changed. Something did change because the expectation is it's Lawrence and Wilson, as in Zach Wilson going to the Jets. Not exactly something that the Jets have put out there, but we all know it, and it's been put out there for them. And I get it. I mean, the kid's electric. He's really exciting. He's got a cannon for an arm as well, and what he does is he makes a lot of those holy crap throws. Holy bleep throws. You know, not that anybody should ever be compared to Patrick Mahomes, but there is definitely some Patrick Mahomes and Zach Wilson because of that arm, because of that mobility, because of the ability to throw from crazy angles. And then that gets us to the third pick, and that's where the draft really begins. The draft doesn't really begin until the third pick because we know what's going to happen in the first two picks. If Lawrence and Wilson are locks at 1 and 2, then there's no lock at 3. There is no certainty there. And honestly, it does make a lot of sense, right? When you consider the 49ers moved up to get that third pick, and when you consider what they gave up, a hell of a lot to get that third pick, you would think they would know exactly what they wanted with that pick. But that's not necessarily the case. I mean, you're not going to be trading down or trying to get somebody to trade up for that third pick. So really, I don't know what the point of all the smoke is. Why are they trying to deke people? Why are they putting out all this crazy smoke? And yet that's all there is right now when it comes to that third pick. For instance, is it Mac Jones? Is that the guy the Niners really want? Because that makes sense. By all accounts, he is pro-ready, and he plays a style that Kyle Shanahan loves. But would they really trade up to number 3 and give up everything they gave up to get to number 3 to take a guy who, as of about a month and a half ago, was expected to be going in the teens? So does that mean they traded up actually to get Trey Lance, the guy with crazy potential and even crazier maturity? If you missed his interview yesterday on this program, you missed a conversation with a guy who's 20 going on 50. Everybody says it's not Justin Fields, right? But if everybody's saying it's not Fields, does that mean that it is Fields? Does the fact that just about everybody has reported that Fields is out at number 3 mean that he's actually in at number 3? And then what does all this mean to Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, it's pretty clear the writing is on the wall for him in Frisco. And the writing says, pack your bleeping bags, man. Beat it. Hit the bricks. And if so, does he get traded before the draft? Does he get dealt during the draft? Does he get moved right after the draft? If you ask Kyle Shanahan again whether or not Jimmy G is going to be on the roster on Sunday, you better get prepared for it to get kind of dark. Bridgewater, although not coming off the best year, is one of the best and most beloved guys in that league. His comeback is nothing short of amazing. but his time in Carolina had been running out ever since they traded for Sam Darnold. In fact, that keeps happening to Bridgewater, right? Every time Darnold gets moved or comes in, something happens to Bridgewater. So you look at that, and then you consider that Drew Lock's time in Denver also might be running out too. So what the Broncos have now is an experienced starter to either push Lock or to take his job, and they got him on a contract that's team-friendly, and they could still use that 9th pick overall to get a quarterback in the draft. But point being, if that's what you get for Bridgewater, a 6th rounder, it's kind of hard to imagine the Niners getting an enormous haul for Garoppolo. And yes, that probably means that somehow, some way, this all leads him back to New England to reunite with the hood. And for what? A bag of footballs and maybe a ham sando. So what it doesn't explain, though, is the 49ers and all these smoke screens. Like, I know it's smoke screen season, but that is a smoke job for the ages. And if you're going to fool people a little bit, why not just go all in and really mess with people? To me, the 49ers, when everybody's looking at this 3rd pick and what quarterback they might take, to me, the greatest deke of all time would be to use that 3rd pick on Kyle Pitts. Don't grab a quarterback, rip a unicorn instead. That would be the brassest, ballsiest pick of all time. I would love that. That would be my favorite draft pick ever. That would make the 49ers my favorite team ever. And yes, I know you don't give up 2 first-round picks to get a tight end, especially when you already have one of the best tight ends in the history of the game. But then again, if you're the 49ers, you don't need to be putting out all that smoke either. Man, just take Pitts. Take Pitts, and you line up George Kittle and Kyle Pitts in the same offense. Let it rip, man. Do that and watch the entire world burn. If you believe you can win with just about any quarterback, man, prove it. Do it. Let's make that happen. And yes, I know there are other teams in the draft, and there are other questions that have to be answered in that draft. Like, does Carolina still look for a quarterback? What do the Falcons do at number 4? What do the Dolphins do with their picks? What does Philadelphia do? But it all starts at number 3. And right now, nobody seems to know exactly what the Niners are going to do. So let me say it once again. Man, take the freaking unicorn. Take the unicorn and let the mayhem begin. We had him and Trey Lance both on the program. 2 of the bigger names. Kyle Pitts talked about the 49ers. I brought that up with him because I'm trying to will this into existence. I brought it up and said, do you think there's any possibility that they take you at number 3?
That was in the beginning before I feel like the quarterback talk started to increase. But and I was just getting information, maybe thinking that they were interested or, I was having meetings with them. But that was before, like I said, before the quarterback hype came. So that kind of left, that train left. I don't really think they're going to pick me anymore.
Yeah, I hope that's smoke too. He's saying, I thought about it, and I thought maybe, but I think that train left the station. Man, I hope not. Be the best draft pick ever. What about Trey Lance? So many questions about him. Not his upside, not his potential, but he doesn't have a lot of experience. I asked him, what about that rap? He came on yesterday. I said, what about that rap that you don't have enough experience to justify a high first-round pick? What are your thoughts on that?
It definitely motivates me. I definitely hear it. I understand the situation that I only played, 17 games. So for me, it's one of those things I know that I really can't control. I don't have any control over, how many passes I threw in college games at this point. So for me, I can't really worry about things that I can't control.
No, you can't.